Hi, editing Ben. My intro decided to die. So you're getting in the edit, quick intro. Uh, I don't even say much here. Yeah, welcome back. Thanks for watching. Bocchi the Rock. Yeah, here you go. Yeah, enjoy that one. Oh god. And one more thing. Sorry. Oh, I just put this one in as well. I'm testing new audio, so sorry if it's bad. It's a trial and error process. Okay, bye. I'm sorry. Enjoy. Thank you again. Oh my god, bye. Guess what? I have a video and it's not about One Piece. I know. That's development right there. Yeah, this is actually a little video talking about an anime season series that I recently watched called Bocchi the Rock. And wow, it's fantastic. And I was really excited to talk about it and share my thoughts and opinions on it. I didn't really know how I was going to talk about it. I was thinking maybe I'll write an essay about it, make a whole video essay, maybe just script something and then just kind of talk about it like that. Didn't feel right. So what I've essentially done is as I was watching it, I've got all my points up right in front of me and I'm just going to talk about it. Just my genuine thoughts and my genuine opinion of why I think this is a spectacular season of anime, and hopefully a continued series. But to start, how did I get into bocce? Why did I get into bocce? Um, well, I recently went on a little trip to Japan. That's right, the motherlands, home of everything I love. Anime. Yep. No. So when I was in Japan, I was with my dear friend Justin, who has started South Blue with me. And he kept telling me like, oh yeah, I watched Bocce the Rock this year, and it was awesome. I really loved it. He's a music nerd, so I thought that's maybe why he fell in love with it. And then we're in Japan, and I saw Bocce the Rock everywhere. Everywhere there was Bocce merch. I couldn't stop seeing it. So I said to him, hey, when I get back, I'll I'll read it. He was just like, oh, don't read it, watch it. But I was like, no, no, no. Like, I'll read it first, and then if I like reading it, I'll watch it. That's normally what I tend to do, or vice versa. But I'm trying to kind of read a bit more, and then watch. Kind of that real nerd appreciation of like, yeah, I saw the original, and now I'm seeing the adaptation. But well, that's what I did. I read the manga, and I lasted for about 5 chapters before I was bored. Not bored. I struggled to connect with it. It didn't click. Um, I just struggled to know who was talking. Like the jokes kind of just like rolled past the delivery, and I haven't really done that. The manga, that's the type of where it's like square, square, square instead of like one whole page. So like there's a lot of new things for me, and I don't really read a lot of slice of life. Um, so I was like, okay, I'm doing a disservice to this series. It's obviously very well loved, by a large amount of people. So I put the manga down and I picked up the anime, and that got me. That absolutely got me. Literally, the first episode, I was like, this is so much better than manga because the core elements of the series can actually be explored here. That being like music and sound, and like emotion. A lot of like emotion, and not just kind of like that ooh woo Japanese emotion. Just a lot of like symbolic emotion. But before I like dive into all that analysis, let's just talk about what Bocce the Rock is all about. Yeah, hey, guess what? I'm back again. All the beginning of the clips are cutting out. So context, this is me talking about what Bocce's all about and like a little sentence to go with it. I'm sorry, you're probably going to see more of these. It's kind of fun to do, but it's not productive. Okay, bye. I've written a little kind of sentence, a hook. And I would say Bocce the Rock is a slice of life comedy about a high school girl who has a large amount of social anxiety and her journey to start a band, make friends, and conquer her anxiety. That's kind of how like I described it to some of my friends who asked what was the series like. Um, but in more detail, Bocce the Rock follows Hitori Goto, our main protagonist, who is an introverted guitarist who's appropriately nicknamed Bocce. And if you put Hitori and Bocce next to each other, it translates to essentially, I think, alone or all alone. Um, which she kind of is at the start of the series, the story. She's got no friends, just her family, and even to them, she's very isolated. But Bocce has this dream, this desire, this drive that she wants to become a famous musician, a famous guitarist in a band, badass, and become really popular. So what she does is she picks up her dad's guitar, she learns it through all of middle school, and then realizes, oh God, I spent all of middle school learning guitar that I didn't actually make friends and talk to anybody. And that's where she kind of gets her social anxiety from, like that lack of communication. And she goes into high school and she's like, this is it, I've got to do it. And she struggles. And it's not until she meets this other girl while she's lonely in a park who sees her guitar case and is like, please, 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 we need a guitarist or a band. We're over here. And she just gets roped into it. And that's kind of how the whole story begins. Hey guys, I'm back. Look, this one didn't do it. This one just works. How good's that? I didn't need to make it. I just thought it'd be funny. Okay, enjoy. Oh God, where's the stop button? All right, bye. So what really roped me into the series? It's hard to pin it on like one thing, but the comedy is done really well. If you watch a lot of anime, you kind of know that the comedy is very like Japanese. And obviously it's made in Japan, it's written by, Japanese people. Makes sense that the humor has like a Japanese focus. Sometimes I can get kind of lost in translation. I think like watching One Piece, Black Clover, any like shonen ones, you realize that like they love a good repeated gag. And sometimes it can be really tiring or really like cringe to a Western audience. And so you kind of got to like develop a taste for it. I didn't think that was really the case for Bocchi the Rock. I gotta say, I think it was translated really well. They have some of like that exaggerated humor, but I was watching it and I was like, damn, I feel like I could watch this with my mum and she could get a giggle or two out of this. Like, not a lot, but I was like, they've done well to like translate it over and adjust some of the comedy, if it even needed to be adjusted. Obviously, I don't speak or read Japanese, so it's hard to tell if that was the prior like writing of it. But regardless, it was really good. I thought it was funny. The gags are really good. They do a lot of like really niche. I don't know if I can use the word niche, but like Japanese focused jokes that like you need to know the language to understand. I've talked about this with Justin before, where I think Kaguya-sama Lovers War does it a lot, where like they'll make reference to a joke, and you'll watch it and you'll be like, what the fuck are they talking about? But it's like, oh, this is like a big thing in Japan. Like, I think I could be so wrong. I haven't finished Kaguya-sama. There's like a fried chicken war joke in Kaguya-sama about like that in Japan. There's like a fried chicken war, something along those lines. I'm not even sure if that's correct. But they do a couple of those in it, but they do a pretty decent job at like translating. Oh, this is kind of what they're talking about. And it's not like this overwhelmingly explained thing, or they'll have like short little intermissions of like Bocchi's subconscious explaining the joke. And I was like, hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate some clever humor. And I appreciate that, a Western audience is not really going to understand that. Like, I don't even know if that's like for the Western audience or they're like, oh, let's explain this. Like, one of the jokes is the main band, like the band that Bocchi's in, it's called Kasoku Band, which means zip tie. So it's like zip tie band. And that's like the joke of like, a zip tie is a band, but they're also in a band. So it's a zip tie band. And it, like, you know what I mean? Like it's really like, oh, I have to spend a minute explaining that. But like the joke of it is that it's so complex to understand. Now talking about the band though, the four main characters I really like. So it's Bocchi, then you have Nijika, Rio, and Kita. And what I thought they did really well, and I think a lot of series kind of do this, is like those four characters, like you'll watch this and you'll be like, I'm like that one, or I know someone who's exactly like that character. Like they're very not extreme. I think only two of them are really extreme, and that's Rio and Bocchi, who are both like the kind of the introverted ones. Whereas like I myself, I really relate to Nijika. I was like, yeah, that's probably the character I like related to the most. She wasn't necessarily my favorite, but I related to her a lot, and I thought she was really funny. Um, like I didn't necessarily have like a favorite character. Actually, that is a lie. I really like the drunk chick. I forgot her name. Let me Google it right now. Kikuri Hiyori. Kikuri Hiyori. The episode she's introduced is definitely my favorite one. That one I was like, oh, I'm invested. Let's go. Another thing that it does really well is displaying like emotions. Like not as like, oh my god, I'm sad. happy or I'm angry. Just like how we don't necessarily wear how we're feeling on ourselves. And they kind of have all these different methods of showing how people are feeling through either like really extreme, really funny, or like kind of more serious, somber moments. But like they're emotive characters in a really good way, and they're not like 2D and flat. It's my biggest complaint with series like Black Clover. Every single character is so two-dimensional. That's what the series is for. It is a crazy action series that doesn't really need to have a lot of depth for its characters, because that's not what it's there for. But Bocce, on the other hand, it relies on that, and it's the foundation of the whole show, and it does a great job. I have no complaints with the characters. There's never really a point I was like, I'm sick of this character. Like I was like, oh cool, this character's here. In this case, I really liked all the characters. No one really bugged me. No one really annoyed me. I think they all really played a very good part. But protagonist wise, Bocce. Bocce is a solid protagonist. Tell you why. Bocce as a protagonist is everything I want in a protagonist. Most of the time. I'm not gonna sit on that. In this case, she's perfect. Does her job perfectly. Um, and when you watch, you'll kind of notice there's like, or at least I noticed, there was like three sides of Bocce that you kind of get. You get like her physical self and how she appears to like the world and the other characters. You kind of get like her mental self. She has a lot of like these internal monologues, which are usually like ridiculous and extremely exaggerated, and not realistic. But then you also have like this subconscious self, which we are the ones that really see. So Bocce doesn't really see it in her head or in like real life. We as like the viewers get to see, I guess, her development and growth as a part of her character. Um, but physically wise, like she is poorly emotive. She struggles to make like eye contact with people. Like there's a whole part of it where like she does eventually make eye contact and a smile, and it's like the creepiest thing ever. Like she can't say no to people. She just gets like into these like funny situations because of her anxiety. Like it's not like, oh my god, I'm here because this is so random and stuff like that. It's like I literally can't get up and say, go away. No, I'm not doing that. Walk off. Like it's impossible for her. And I understood that as a child. I understood that feeling. When I was a kid, I could never say no. Ever. Someone would be like, oh my god, like can you do this for me? I'd be like, maybe it's because I was a people pleaser or something like that. But like when that part came up, I was just like, good job. Well done. Now in terms of her mental self, my favorite part. My favorite part. So she goes on these like mental tangents talking about things she thinks are like socially relevant. Um, my favorite probably being she has like two of her new friends over to her house. And it's I think they say it's like the first time she's ever had friends over. But she puts like a giant sign outside her house. She has like disco lights and all these things trying to make it as like grand as possible. And it kind of ends up where like she needs to like separate herself from like the situation as her family takes over, and they're like really nice and kind, and she just doesn't know where she sits. And I was like, oh my god. Like that one, I was like, sometimes I will be out with friends or like at a social function, and it just gets to the point where I'm like, I'm exhausted. I need to separate myself from like just this hub, this all this buzz and stuff. Like I just need to relax. No matter how like fun and great it is, and it's like, oh my god, I have friends that care about me and like want to be around me. Just like, I like my stamina, my social stamina is low, but they do really well. And then in terms of like the what I was referring to, like her subconscious self, she has like a lot of selfish like thoughts. So she's like, oh, I want to be in a band because I want to be cool and popular and get money and never have to go to school or university. Like I want to play music and that's it. Um, but like really, as you start watching, she ends up having like desires to like see her friends' dreams come true. And the band is no longer about like financial gain, and it's more like I want to make myself and my friends proud. And like I want to be proud of what I've done and the effort I've put in. I want to develop my skill. Um, but like she doesn't necessarily say it often. And I just kind of loved that they still placed it in there alongside like those selfish desires of like she says to herself, like, I'm only doing this for myself, not aggressively, but like, oh, I'm only doing this because I'm socially not able to handle this. But there's always like that other extra reason that's really relevant to herself and like the friends that she's trying to make. And it's really sweet. Like, I didn't cry watching it, but I got tear, and I'm an emotional watcher. Like, I'll cry at the things that probably like I don't think a lot of people would cry at, but a lot of things I was just like, oh, like that hits home. It just does a really good job. I got the only thing I was sad about is when when it ended, and I was like, oh my god, I'm out of episodes. Like that sucks. I was excited to talk about it. I was like, damn, like it sucks that it's done. But they are making two movies, or like a movie with two parts that should come out this year. I'm very excited, very very excited for that. I'm still not going to read it, the manga. I don't know if I've said that in this part, but yeah, I'm not going to read it. I want to stay with the anime. That's where and I'll tell you why I want to stay with the anime and not read the manga like I normally do. So why couldn't I read the manga originally, and why do I not want to pick it back up? And no, it's not because I can't read. I can read. I read One Piece every week. Thank you very much. It's not as much as like an insult to the manga. The real reason why I didn't read it, more or less a compliment to the anime. Um, Music, vibrancy, the like and sound, like the most important concepts and like the theme of the whole series. It's so vital. It is so vital. The music is fantastic. I'm not a music nerd. I'm not a, like my taste is very limited. I just listen to what I like. I listen to a lot of J rock and Japanese music, obviously because obviously right. And the Bocchi soundtrack is now in my Spotify. I've listened to it a couple of times. It's awesome. The fact that like the voice actor for Kita, who's like the lead singer, actually like her voice actor sings the parts. Amazing. I remember watching it and being like, I wonder if that's the case. Like, I imagine it would be hard to find a voice actor who is also a great singer. And well, they seem to have done it. Good job. But when they start playing music, or whenever like there's a band playing, they give you like a mini music video, and like the animation, like it, like if there's like a switch of like, okay, here's a normal anime, and like here's like overload music time, they flick it every single time, and it's so good. Especially like there's a performance in which they're quite nervous, and you get to see that nerve. It stuns so well. And I've gone to a couple of like kind of like live music events. That's right. I go outside. I have a good friend who's in a band, and I go to his gigs as often as I can. And I've come to kind of love like that small atmosphere of like, walk downstairs into this hot, stuffy room, and you're shoulder to shoulder with people, and you watch a band perform. And the anime, it really captures why you want to go, because you kind of just like hit with music. It hits you in the face, and you love it. You can't help but kind of, they have like two characters like jump up and down. You can't help but just move to the music. And I'm saying this as someone who's not a music buff. I stand by that. There was a guy who did a really cool analysis of the main song they sing. I think I wrote it down. I don't know if I did. Future Ben. It was like Red Rocket, Red Ghost, Red something. I'm gonna put it here. Okay. It was really good. I enjoyed it. It was a funny guy, and he kind of breaks down the lyrics, that like he got like official translation for, and also adjusted some. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. So I'm gonna put that in there. Um, but besides like the music, like music, the genre, sound wise, the sound effects and the sounds they use are just perfect. And like music, I know nothing about sound design, but I appreciate it a lot. And like it got to the point where I noticed it. I don't do that often with like anime. Like they have sound effects and like the general ones. But in this case, I was like, okay, these are really good. There's there's one part where Bocchi like freaks out, and she like literally has like a cyberpunk glitch, and just like the noise they used, I was just like, what? But it was so good. It's really, really, really good. Like whoever's on like that sound design team and was in charge of that, they hit the nail on the head. Like they did it perfectly. I hope the any future development that works in the Bocchi the Rock series preserves that. Like that would be more. I would rather the animation goes down rather than lose that sound quality and like the sound work they have. It's so good. Um, and kind of like my last key point was I said I used the word vibrancy, which feels right because the world, in this case, our world in Japan, is very alive. And it's not like I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I just went to Japan and I feel like I'm going back on a second trip. Like, no, it's not like that. It's just that like the environments they're in, it's just so alive. Vibrancy, alive. Those are the big words I'm going to use. Oh, I have written down his name, Redjoker. There we go. Yeah, I know. Like the color, the characters' colors are bright. Colors they use to display like the equipment and stuff like that. It's just like I don't know how they made like an anime so like clean and crisp. I do know they drew it and they animated it, but it's just like I just have this like appreciation for how good it looks and feels and listens, sounds like oh, it's just a series full of life and love. Like it feels like whoever worked on it was like, I want this to be the best. And it absolutely it is, to be honest. I started my year off with a banger and I'm sad I'm done with it. But I really want Bocchi's tracksuit jacket. I really want the bright pink jacket as well. But no, highly, highly recommend it. To be fair, I probably shouldn't even recommend it because I'm probably the last person who's watched it. But it was fantastic. And I hope you've enjoyed this kind of conversation we get to have about it. I know it's very like podcasty style, but that's kind of what I go for. I just like to talk anime and manga and like what I'm watching. And I think I will keep doing that every time I watch something. I'm probably going to talk about it. Like right now, I'm watching Solo Leveling, like the rest of the world. I've already read it though, so it's nice to see it being translated into an anime. I just binged the first part of Shangri-La Frontier, and I didn't even realize that part two was coming out weekly. I was really annoyed that that didn't end. I'm excited that it's still coming out. And Free Ren, Beyond Journey's End, that was everywhere in Japan. One of the hotels I went to had a Free Run themed room. That's probably on my list as well, for things to watch. And when I watch them, I'll probably make videos about them, talking to you guys about them. That's what I love doing. But guys, thank you so much for listening to me rant about Bocchi the Rock. If you haven't watched it, do yourself a favor. Go watch it right now. It's on Crunchyroll, at least for us bloody Australians it is. Thank you for watching the South Blue. I hope to see you next time. Bye.